Hello and welcome back to Dilkash to Talk. The guest we have today is known and called as the original ScaryAmmi, who is not so scary at all. She's a mother of 5, is a content creator, and is excelling in life in multiple aspects of her life and covering all these things, multitasking, and is being a coach to many mothers. तो आए उनसे बात करते हैं, पूछते हैं कि वो कैसे ये सारी चीज़ें एक साथ मैनेज करें. Assalamualaikum, Ayesha.
Walaikum salam.
So how are you doing, Ayesha?
Good.
Ayesha, tell us a bit about yourself, your family background, and how life in general, how it is.
Okay, so let me see where to begin. So as a student, I was like one of those complete nerds, always getting A stars, always standing first. So that was me as a student. And then I think it was time for anybody who was brilliant became a doctor. So I became a doctor because that was the given. Okay? If you were brilliant, sciences and O-levels, and I got into King Edward, which is considered the best college. And then I did like really well, like again, academically, like I got gold medals and all. But I felt, I wanted like more from life than like a safe bet. So medicine obviously got safe bet, but I wanted adventure and excitement and, all that. So uske liye I was very attracted to journalism, and I went to the Columbia School of Journalism. I became a journalist. I worked for the BBC for Express News. I was like one of their first hires internationally. I worked with CNN Turk, like a lot of international and local experience. And then sadly, at the time that I became a journalist, journalism began dying, right? Because people were no longer getting their news from, I remember my major at Columbia was broadcast journalism and then terrorism, because this was post 9/11. So terrorism to abhi bhi relevant hai, like in broadcast journalism, and everything that we had learned started becoming redundant. Kuch cheezein you could still use. But we learned how to shoot with cameras. Everybody now shoots with phones. So that started becoming redundant. We learned how to work these heavy duty editing softwares. And I'm like an amazing editor. Those softwares are no longer needed. You edit on the go. Pehle to, magazine form is what I was really, really good at. Like these 10, 12-minute television features and stories. वो भी आप लोग देखते हैं, but now people want TikTok reels and under 59 seconds. So it began changing. And also the idea, do you need qualified, certified journalists to report, became a question mark, because people were like, why do we need to send a reporter to Iraq, for example? या अगर आप अभी की बात करो, why do we need to send a reporter to Palestine? जब Palestine के अपने लोग are sending out videos and all. So this became a question in citizen journalism. So I think I also obviously had to adapt. एक ही option होती है ना, then things change. Either you become a dinosaur or you adapt. So my way of adapting was ScaryAmmi. So when I, during this time, obviously I got married, then I had kids. And I realized that as I went on my journey as a mom, there were so many questions. Like every day with a child, there's a new question. Even now that I have 5 kids and वो थोड़े बड़े भी हो गए, every day there's a question in my mind. Isko do, na do. If he's not eating, how long is it okay for a child to go without eating, right? Like constant questions. And there is no community to support it, no information that is local and authentic. I mean, obviously there's Google, and then there are bahar ke blogs, but nothing that answers in real time the issues. Because if a mom has an issue, she wants an answer uswa. She doesn't want कि मैं डॉक्टर से अपॉइंटमेंट लूँ, फिर उसका पे भी अच्छा खासा करो, फिर वो मिले भी कि ना मिले. So I wanted to open up a platform where, just like you get in citizen journalism news from other people, in this you get information from other moms, and there's a constant process. So that's how ScaryAmmi happened. So that's my brief, or I don't know, not so brief journey.
So how long have you been married for?
14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, लगता बहुत ज़्यादा है. But it goes very quickly.
When you have kids, it goes in a flash.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yes.
So why ScaryAmmi? Why is the name ScaryAmmi? That's a big question.
Yeah. So when I began ScaryAmmi, I didn't really begin it as a business. I didn't even know it could become like a business or something. So I would, my eldest son, Kayan, usko main HSN ke entrance exam ki. I was preparing him. And the entrance exam can be can seem very daunting to you. And Kayan was in Islamabad, he was in an IB system. So he didn't really know Tafhime and Tashri and everything that you're expected to know. Tab Urdu was also mandatory. They've made it easier after COVID, but at that time, Urdu was like 33% of the exam. And Kayan was in like this IB, problem-solving, project-based school in Islamabad. So when I brought him to Lahore, I was like, oh my God, yeah, how will he and I do it? We had less than a year. We had like 10 months. And my in-laws and my husband really wanted HSN. So then I would like scold him a lot or work with him very aggressively. And he was my first son. I also was learning boundaries and was learning so much. So at that time, Kayan was really small. He was like 5. So he would complain to his dad, Mama's very scary. Mama's so scary. He would. So what kind of that name stayed. And then my kids don't call me Ammi, but I've always wanted them to call me Ammi. I love the term Ammi. I think it's so endearing. Yeah. And इसमें जो मिठास है, वो mom, mama, momsi, किसी चीज़ में नहीं है. I love Ammi. And I still remember my youngest sister, Anam. She would call my mom, we call her mama, but she would call her Ammi जब वो बहुत छोटी थी. तो एक दफ़ा I think मैंने उससे कहा, ये क्या बात हुई? Ammi क्या नाम होता है? Call her mom. So my mother was like, नहीं उसको नाम मना करो, इस नाम में बहुत मिठास है. And so, but Annam also obviously grew out of it. वो भी अब मामा कहती है. So I've always wanted that. None of them call me Ammi. So I was like, चलो, scary Ammi तो हर बंदा कहता ही है ना, तो Ammi तो आ ही जाता है. But I thought, when scary Ammi started picking up, so I thought maybe my kids would be like Ammi. But they don't. They're still like, if they want to call me, to mama ही कहते हैं, but अगर उन्होंने तो they'll say scary Ammi, they won't say Ammi. Even though I really like, and I also feel, this is another example of how so much of the Gora culture and so much of the Western culture has become ingrained in us. Mama is not from our vernacular, it's not from our vocabulary, but it is the word. Even children who are maybe not that well off or government schools, mama has become a part of our vocabulary when it never was. And we have the most beautiful terms in Urdu and Punjabi, like maa kitni pyari term hai, right? And ammi kitni pyari term hai. But we don't.
Just because वो cultural वो चीज़ें आ चुकी हैं Western culture की कि हम वो
And the West is very good at marketing themselves. So if you talk about mothering, so we when you talk about the kinds of mothering, so everybody will talk about tiger moms, which is again a Japanese mom, Chinese mom phenomena. Then you talk about soccer moms, that's an American term. Then you talk about helicopter moms, again a Western term. But nobody talks about desi ammis, whereas I feel in so many ways we are exemplary ammis, right? When you compare us, because we are very committed to our children, but also we teach our children balance, which the West is still struggling with. And that's because our social structure is children inevitably learn social interactions. They inevitably go to Nano Dada's house. कुछ चीज़ें हमारे अंदर बहुत अच्छी भी हैं. Obviously, many things to improve. But there is no presence anywhere in the world on desi parenting.
And do you think that you being a mother or your parenting has somewhat influenced or, boosted your journey of ScaryAmmi?
I think I have learned a lot from ScaryAmmi. I think more than being the teacher, I'm the student, because there is such a wealth of information on the community, such wisdom amongst all these hundreds and thousands of ammis. I mean, I feel I am a much better mom today because of ScaryAmmi, because I've learned so much from, even though I have a medical degree, about which milk to give, tips to teach them how to become better readers, breakfast ideas, everything I've learned from ScaryAmmi, how to handle conflicts, a lot. Because there is always a discussion going on. And sometimes when you read somebody else's discussion, you're like, oh, acha, ye mein there's so much wealth over there. So I have learned so much. Totke, so my mom isn't really the totka kind of mom, because she's a doctor and an entrepreneur. But all the totkas that I do for my kids, I love totkas, because I feel our desi totkas are miraculous, if you understand. Every single totka I've learned from ScaryAmmi.
Yeah. Since you mentioned that you were a nerd and you got all straight A's, do you feel that you sort of feel obliged or pressured that your children are in the same direction, educational wise, in their educational journeys? Do you feel the pressure that, okay, if I were, a nerd or used to get A's, so aapke bacche bhi jo hain, if they have to, stay up the grade, up to the mark grades, unko lena zaruri hai. Because you hear a lot of stories where children sometimes feel very pressured. अपने इस journey में, school journey होगी या वो सारी होगी. So how do you manage and navigate that pressure and not make education as such कि ये आपको एक pressure लगे? How do you make it engaging?
So what I've learned, like obviously being a nerd is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that you do so well academically, and the bad thing is that you're in a bubble. You're not dealing with like a lot of social issues or friends issues. You're not learning how to fail. You're not learning how to see people better than you. Like आप बहुत सी चीज़ें नहीं भी सीखते. So for my children, my aim has been, I do feel that succeeding in school is very important because I feel it gives you a boost of confidence, it gives you self-esteem, it teaches you determination, persistence, consistency. Like बहुत सी आप अच्छी चीज़ें सीखते हो when you are successful in school, because being successful in school means कि आप रोज़ पढ़ रहे हो. It means कि आप time management सीख रहे हो, आप discipline सीख रहे हो, आप balance between party time and school time. Obviously, you're not going to do well if you are meeting your friends before the exams. You're also not going to do well if you're not kind of studying every day, especially as you go up. So, because बहुत सी चीज़ें आप cram नहीं कर सकते. You can't cram maths, you can't. And I think now that studies are becoming more conceptual, you can't cram anything. So skill development. So I feel you learn some very good tips which can help you throughout your life, like how to balance time. And also to be good at school, you need to, have no other things like how to respect your teachers, because it's also a human to human interaction since you're not learning from computers. So the teacher has to like you to put in that extra effort. You have to build that bond. I think आप बहुत कुछ सीखते हो. So I feel that my aim for my children is not for them to be nerds. I feel the art is in becoming, so pehle कहते थे ना well-rounded personalities. But I think that's outdated. Now it's the oval personality. So you should be really like well-rounded and balanced, but be amazing at one thing. That's kind of what my aim for the kids is. तो मैं उनको ये बिल्कुल नहीं कहती कि पूरा दिन पढ़ते रहो. But I want them to become smart learners. I want them to be successful in school. But I also want them to be successful on the sports field. I want them to be successful
in whatever interests them.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Ayesha, in this journey of ScaryAmmi, what has been the most memorable or challenging video that you had to create, if you have to pick one?
Challenging video. Oh my God, I've created so many. So I think the videos that I make with my children are very challenging because, as they're becoming older, they might want to do it, they might not want to do it. So it's sometimes a little harder getting them to agree to do something or not agree to do something. So that is definitely a challenge. Also, I think, as social media is becoming more and more busier, what you really need on social media is authenticity. And that is a lot harder. Like I still remember, so there's this video that I made which went viral. And it was, so I have 5 kids and my husband has been away studying. So I've been a single mom for like a year. So एक video थी in which like my kids for some reason all went to sleep on time that day. जो एक बहुत struggle होती है कि सबको एक, I need to get them all to bed because only when they sleep can I do anything. And then I have to go to sleep also. So they were all asleep like by 7:30. So literally I was like so happy. I began dancing and then, we made a video of just me dancing because the kids were asleep. That video went like viral. But I also got a lot of people saying to me, like in my family and all, why were you dancing on social media? Why were you dancing? Because, but that's very hard to do in Pakistan, to really just allow yourself to be authentic. So videos where like if I've been really sad and I've cried, those videos have been a challenge emotionally because you want to be authentic, you want to be you want to be genuine. And, in Pakistan, that's hard because we don't want to see the real face of so many things. We want to see, like, pehle ab socho, I would not do makeup, right? Like, I would just not do makeup because I would just not have the time. So I was like, forget it, as long as I'm looking presentable. But I realized that was affecting the videos, it was affecting my content, it was affecting how brands were perceiving me. And so I began doing makeup because I'm like, haan, chalo, you know, some places you give in, but also it's nice to look groomed. But it also talks into the bigger social issue of how we want to see made up beautiful versions. We don't want to see, you know, moms in flats, for example. Like, we want to see moms in heels, and we want to see har bacha like perfectly done up, because we're just not okay with realness.
But I don't know. I think there's beauty in it. Being real.
Yeah,
in being real,
I think there's
beauty in
so
it.
much in it.
Yeah,
but we're just not ready for
a lot
it.
of people find motivation in that.
Yeah.
Because they can't do it, and when they see someone else doing it, they feel motivated.
But it's much harder to do it. I feel, especially in Pakistan, because that's just not the kind of society we are, right? So we're not okay. And I think, like, if you look at, like, our politicians have never told us the truth, right? Everything is always a facade. So it comes down. I think our teachers, if you go to a PTM, your teacher will be like, your son is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Dusri mother, dusre bachche ko bhi, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant girl, brilliant. Aisa bachcha hi nahi dekha. And you, I mean, obviously that's not true. Har bachcha hi brilliant hai. So that's also because, you know, everybody hesitates to tell the truth.
Even I remember when there are days when I don't wear makeup to work, everyone keeps asking, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" This is like, okay, this is my real face. I haven't been.
This is also why we don't talk about, like, going to therapy, because we don't want to seem real. We want to be like, everything's perfect.
Yeah, and there's so much judgment around it. Still, I mean, I would see the same people judging other people who are struggling through it.
Yeah.
So, it's a messed up society. I don't want to talk about it. So how do you strike a balance between your work and your, you know, parenting and being a wife?
So, you know, I have an issue with the term balance, because I feel real balance doesn't exist. Like, how in the whole world can you ever balance? Because something always has to give. Because the problem being that everybody has 24 hours. So somebody who has 5 kids like I do, and then a mom who has 1 kid, obviously the amount of time she can give that kid, how would I match it? Like, अगर वो 6 घंटे दे रही है और मेरे पास 5 हैं, तो मैं तो divide करूँ तो वो पूरे ही नहीं होंगे ना. So I feel that balance एक बहुत is an unnecessary burden we put on ourselves. If we just say कि यार balance नहीं हो सकता, we will just do our best. So we would just lift that burden off every working Ammi. So, you know, somebody once asked, like, Hillary Clinton this, and I feel that, you know, she's gone so far as a woman and shattered so many ceilings. So I feel like she's maybe really, like, been able to push herself beyond what many women are able to. So somebody once asked her, how do you think women can have it all, or something about balance? So she said that, you know, what she's realized it, that you can't have it all. You can't be balanced. But what you can do at any one point in your life is choose the 2 most important things for that point. So let's say, for example, since my husband was away for a year, so in this 1 year, I chose my kids and my work, because I was like, you know, the kids already have one missing parent. And Nasir, my husband, obviously chose his education at that time. And I don't know, but he probably chose to, like, whatever he chose, but one was his education. And for me, so obviously in this time, other things had to take a back seat. Like, for example, my learning had to take a back seat. You know, I love, like, constantly learning and doing courses, but for nahi kar pai because I have to give that extra time to my kids. Then, in some ways, I think my fitness took a hit, which it should never take a hit. I do believe that for every woman, fitness and health should be non-negotiable. So I think at every one point in your life, figure out the 2 most important things and kind of make those your priorities. Like, I really didn't meet my friends this year. Like, literally, I was like, sorry, but I'm, like, too overburdened, because I wanted ScaryAmmi to expand and I wanted the kids to do well. So फिर इतना ही हो सका.
बिल्कुल. It's वो भी ना humanly possible चीज़ें कितनी आप वो सारी चीज़ें भी देखते हैं. So Ayesha, can you know, pick or recall a success story that you actually thought that your content is making an impact koi aisi ammi has come up to you and said, oh, you did this and that's why it has changed my life? Anything?
Yeah, so a lot. That's what I think keeps me going. So there was this one mom, and she reached out to me, and it was like emotional. So much a message that car, and she said that because of ScaryAmmi, she took her daughter to an audiologist for a hearing test because we were talking about milestones on the group. And she did not realize her daughter was the eldest. And like वो maybe थोड़े backward area में थी, so you know her daughter wasn't talking, and जो हम milestones की बात कर रहे थे उसे पता ही नहीं था कि ये milestones हैं. So when we began talking about what do you do delayed milestones में, हमने birth पे जो hearing test होता है, then she realized कि उसकी बेटी का नहीं हुआ था. Then she took her daughter and उसकी बेटी का hearing loss निकला. And so, you know, because of ScaryAmmi, her daughter got intervention much earlier than had she done nothing. Itni zyada is funny stories. And one of my favorite stories is this mom reached out to another, like through ScaryAmmi, like she had spoken about her story. Her husband was paralyzed and she really wanted a daughter. So obviously it wasn't possible. So we were talking about adoptions that day. And then like through ScaryAmmi, she like spoke about her issue. Somebody else reached out and then she was able to adopt a baby girl.
Wow.
And so that's like a ScaryAmmi baby girl.
Wow.
Yes, but the bahut si stories hai. Like there's no end of the number of women who reach out to me daily because of ScaryAmmi. हमें ये मिला, हमें guidance मिली.
So how big is the ScaryAmmi community now?
So we reach about 500,000 Ammis on a daily basis.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's huge. That's huge. And what is the one piece of advice that you would want to give to already women already Ammis and who are, you know, they want to become Ammis?
So I feel that as a Ammi or as a mother, you will hear a lot of negativity. You'll hear a lot of criticism. You'll hear a lot of people telling you कि ये आप सही नहीं करी, इस तरह करो, ये आप सही नहीं करी, do this, my way is better. And I feel the best thing you can do as an Ammi is listen to it and then ignore it. Like if you want to take something from it, take it. Otherwise, ignore it. The best Ammi is the one who is happy, and that's really important. So when you know, I think in Desi Ammis ka ye hai कि we tend to sacrifice everything. I don't know why. All of us, like I remember when I was pregnant with Kian, the one comment everybody would give me is, अब तो तुम्हारी जिंदगी बदल जाएगी, अब तो तुम्हारी जिंदगी. I was like, क्यों बदल जाएगी? And when Nasir, my husband, went for his masters after 5 kids, everybody was shocked. And I'm talking about liberal, progressive people. They're like, ये कोई तरीका है 5 बच्चों के बाद कौन जाता है? Because people generally believe कि बस जिंदगी तो आपकी खत्म. You are, why? And I was the one who pushed Nasir. I was like, why? If you want to do your masters, why should your children hold you back? Show your children that you can do it all. Become that role model कि भाई, I can do it after 5 kids, after 6 kids. I can do it at any age. What is this? But I do feel, you know, push out the negativity. A happy mom is like, so I feel कि जब हम mothering की बात करते हैं ना, we talk about बच्चों को ये चाहिए. वो कुछ भी नहीं होगा if the Ammi isn't happy. So that's really important. If the Ammi isn't healthy, that's also really important. Like most Ammis don't go to gym. If you still go to gym today, you'll see unmarried girls. They're like, mothers are just not going, whereas I feel mothers need it like a million.
And that also has an impact on their mental health as well.
Yes. So yeah, so happy, well, healthy Ammis who are on a path to growth themselves make the best moms, like by far. Because they're healthy, their kids are healthy, they're committed to wellness, their kids are committed. So really we need to change the narrative. It's not about, you know, what are you sacrificing for your kids? It's what are you ready to pour out of this full jug for your kids? And you cannot be a great mother if you are not on the path to becoming a great woman. Like, उनको आप separate नहीं कर सकते.
बिल्कुल. And just like they say every pregnancy is different or every kid is different, every mother is different and their journey is different also. So speaking of liberalism, Ayesha, now that you're here on Dil Ka Rishta, do you think that there's now acceptance for the matrimonial apps or such platforms in our society yet? Or I have heard from many, you know, educated liberal people, oh, it's a dating app, oh, it's this and that. So do you think the trend is changing now, or like everything has become, you know, digital? Is this Rishta process also going to take a flight on the digital side?
Well, I'm a huge supporter of technology filling in these gaps that exist. So I definitely applaud Dil Ka Rishta, and for my own kids, I would be more than open to.
Actually, that was the question. When they grow up, would you be open to the idea of that?
I would like, I was romantic at heart, so I would like to believe कि उन्हें university पे चलते हुए हवा में किसी के बाल उड़ रहे हो and they fall in love with that girl.
The Bollywood kind
Yeah,
of
exactly. कि कुछ होता है हर बंदे के साथ, because I had a completely arranged marriage, like completely, right? So I would really want them to experience love. चलो वो शादी ना भी हो end में, but they should all experience like कुछ होता है वाली मोहब्बत, दूर से कोई नजर आया, eyes locked and बस मोहब्बत crazy वाली मोहब्बत हो गई. So I do think कि even मतलब दिल का रिश्ता obviously makes it a little sanitized, because आपको मतलब वो crazy मोहब्बत कैसे होगी आपके ऊपर, वो तो आप एक तस्वीर और stats देख रहे हो ना.
That's also,
but for people who don't want crazy मोहब्बत, वो तो I want
who just
for my
want,
kids, who want कि हमने
compatibility,
settle down करना है, who want convenience, who want compatibility, who want like arranged. I had an arranged marriage, right? So my crazy mohabbat happened after I got married. So arranged marriage तो एक बहुत ही बड़ा gamble है ना, because you pretty much don't know anything.
But we have had couple who were like, we love at first sight, their profiles.
But they're like, mohabbat can happen anywhere. So
the biggest success story of it is my own cousin, actually. She didn't want to be on the app, and I literally pushed her.
And she found her.
And और इतने रिश्ते वैसे आ रहे थे, और she never liked anyone. हर एक में बहुत skeptical, बड़ी confused थी, and she saw this match, and this guy used to live 5 minutes away from our place, actually. And she found her love through it. Now they just got married. अभी तो मेहंदी भी नहीं होती. So I see such stories, and I get so inspired by it that actually there has been a change, and
Absolutely. So I'll tell you what, I feel it is a need of the time. So when people ask me कि ScaryAmmi क्यों चाहिए, like my mom, because उस ज़माने में नहीं था. So I tell them कि उस ज़माने में joint family system था. ठीक है? So उस ज़माने में the khala saas and the phuppo saas and the chachi saas and the neighbors were all a part of the family, and the saas and the chachu and the taya. So you don't really need ScaryAmmi. जब आपको वो wisdom और knowledge आपके घर में, आपके मोहल्ले में, आपकी हमसायों में मिल रही है, right? And people would talk to each other a lot more. They would meet each other a lot more. So tab you did not need a collective digital wisdom, because आपको वो wisdom physically मिल रही थी.
वो wisdom हर एक पे fit भी नहीं होती actually. Sometimes इस तरह से होता है कि आपकी situation is something else, पर जो बड़े कह रहे होते हैं वो कुछ और होता है, और वो
नहीं. लेकिन उस ज़माने में ये भी था ना कि like 10 बहुएं भी तो साथ रह रही हैं. मतलब like I grew up exactly. So I grew up in a joint family system. So my dado would live on the ground floor, and then 2 of my tayas had portions, and then we had a portion. So there was so much wealth of information, and then the hamsai would always be coming, and it was a different kind. It was like an actual community. अब वो खत्म हो गई. अब people live on their own. They live in, अब people can't afford बड़ी haveliyan. अब वो apartments and single family homes की तरफ आ गए हैं. अब because and अभी तक nobody really knows their neighbors, because अभी तक वो भी concept पाकिस्तान में नहीं शुरू हुआ, because DHA is so new, right? So everybody is new, so आप अपने neighbors को नहीं जानते. So अब वो क्योंकि है ही नहीं, hence like I tell people कि ScaryAmmi is the digital joint family system. इधर आपको वो खाला सास, फुप्पो सास, चाची सास सब मिलेंगे. Similarly, if you look at दिल का रिश्ता, तो पहले because मिलना मिलाना इतना होता था, and बिरादरी was so important. Like I'm an Arai, so पहले the Arais would all know each other. They would know कि इस घर में बेटी बड़ी हो रही है, तो इस घर का बेटा या सरगोदा में बेटा, like there was
पूरा खानदान वो close था.
And the really web of relationships was massive. And then there were ideas like biradris, जो बहुत मतलब like the Chinioti biradri would really own their young boys and girls. Now that all that has disintegrated, because ये तो नहीं हो सकता कि the good remains and the bad doesn't. एक दफ़ा जब system खत्म होता है and एक change आता है, एक upheaval आता है, तो the good and the bad are both lost. So like I was thinking कि इतने लोग हैं, like ScaryAmmi पे इतने लोग आके लिखते हैं कि our daughter is becoming a doctor in the UK, उसका final year है, we are looking for a Rishta in the UK. अब वो माँ बाप are in Lahore, बेटी उधर है, how are they going to find a doctor in the UK? Hundreds of such examples, because that network has broken now. ना या तो so वो किससे ढूंढे? So she needs Dil Ka Rishta. Then there are so many others, like We moved from Karachi to Pindi. We've only been here 2 years. Our daughter is 24. She's done with their network is in Karachi. They don't want their daughter to send their daughter there because of security issues. Matlab, there are hundreds. Our son is in Michigan. He's becoming an IT scientist. He wants another similarly educated. Khud maa baap mandi bhavatin mein, how are they going to find it? So really, dil ka rishta, I think ab to wo argument rahi nahi ki do you need dil ka rishta or not. It is the need of the time. Yes, if you're lucky, and because Muslims and Pakistanis बहुत minority हैं, so बड़े कम chances हैं कि उससे Boston University पे चलती हुई एक IT graduate from Pakistan, practicing Muslim, जिसके माँ बाप भी दूसरे माँ बाप जानते हो, मिल जाएगी. बहुत कम है ना, because we are a minority.
Yeah, और आप और platforms की तरफ इसलिए भी नहीं जा सकते because you know वो ये वाला catfish और ये वाली सारे मसाइल भी हैं, because not everything that you find online on social platforms is true. Sometimes you get you know आप बहुत गंदा डस है. वो कहते हैं ना, क्या वो एक कहावत है पंजाबी की, क्या है, सांप का पता नहीं डसा दूध भी, क्या ऐसी कुछ कहावत है. आई डोंट नो, मुझे भूल गई. पंजाबी में थी, मुझे वो भूल गई है. सो एक और चीज़ थी आयशा, मैं आपसे पूछने वाली थी. हम अभी जॉइंट फैमिली की तरह बात कर रहे थे हम, क्योंकि वी हैव बिन टॉकिंग अबाउट लॉट ऑफ इशूज़ पहले भी इस तरह पे. सो I see a lot of young people that they don't want to be with joint families. So there's a lot of debate whether to have to live in a joint family or to not. What do you think? I mean, obviously it's individual choice, but do you think it's better to not live with them, or do you think it's better?
I don't think it's better or worse. It really depends. I feel it's really important to make sure that the girl that you are bringing into the family has a choice. And if the joint family system is so integral to your family, then have those discussions before marriage. Like, make sure that the girl who's entering a family is okay with the joint family system. So I love the joint family system. I grew up in it. I love it. I would ideally want my sons to also be in a joint family system. But, ye to meri wish hai. Do my sons want it? A question. And but if they are like adamant कि हमें तो joint ही चाहिए, and I'm also adamant, and my husband, अगर सारे लोग कहीं चाहिए, then we should have those conversations with the girls early on. Not ke, you can't, and also you have to, like wisdom है ना, कि वो कहते हैं अपने जैसों में शादी करो. I think the wisdom is ke, because then the girl kind of stays in her comfort zone. So let's say if it's a girl who's been living independently in Manhattan since she was 18, she went to college there, she did her master's there, she's working for Goldman Sachs, you're not going to expect her. बिकॉज उसको आदत बहुत हो गई है अपनी स्पेस की. उसके लिए शायद एक हस्बैंड के साथ ही रहना would already be a challenge, because she's used to cooking what she wants,
saying even
not even sharing a bed, not sharing a bathroom. Up already she will have to share everything. If she has if and when she has a child, तो बच्चे को भी space चाहिए. तो I think that would be quite a challenge for her. ऊपर से आपको नहीं तुमने joint में रहना है जहाँ. So that is very unfair. So I feel it's like my puppo really wanted a joint family system. So then she chose bahus who were already living in joint family system. Matlab unke parents and unke parents. So for those girls, it was really natural and comfortable कि वो एक joint family system से दूसरे में
I can somewhat relate to it, because I grew up in a joint family myself, and when I got married, I used to live alone in the house.
So that can be harder.
So it was I felt so
boring
lonely
and
at
isolated.
times, isolated and lonely at times, and I didn't knew everybody in the neighborhood and everyone. So I used to be like, मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, दीवारें देख रही हूँ. तो वो थोड़ा सा, I think you're right कि अपने जैसे लोगों वाली चीज़ बहुत सही.
And I feel both, because system तो कोई भी नहीं खराब होता. But yes, if your husband is toxic, the living just with him can be a huge problem, right? And like if your husband is abusive, and you wouldn't want to be alone with him. But on the other hand, obviously, if your mother-in-law is abusive or toxic, or if there are no mannerisms, like, both systems have their challenges. But my point is always that the people entering the system, if they're committed to it, they'll make it work. But if they're not committed to it, they won't. So it's always better to kind of explain pehle कि, okay, these are our norms and these are not our norms.
I think arranged marriages का भी सबसे बड़ा flaw है कि the families meet. They don't let the people who are actually getting married.
And they don't have difficult conversations, is what I've realized. Like, I think अगर आपकी arranged marriage है ना, I know it's hard. to have difficult conversations with someone you don't know. But I think it's really important to have conversations about money, about children.
Finances,
Like
children,
so many arranged
goals,
couples.
future plans.
And the
A lot of
BB is
it's
like, I wanted one child, now my husband's pressuring me for 4. And I'm like, why did they not talk about this pehle? Right? Or if you want pocket money, like my mom, when my brother got married, तो उसके निकाहनामा में भी लिखा हुआ है कि my bhabhi will get this pocket money. So I feel that those are very important discussions to have. If you don't want to have children, or you just want one child, or you want to work, or whatever, you want to live in a joint family, you don't have those conversations. Why are you assuming कि नहीं लड़का अच्छा है, family अच्छी है, बस हो जाएगा भाई? Have those discussions. That's why you need
इस मामले में अरेंज मैरिजेस के ये हमारी सोसाइटी में भी बहुत बड़ा चेंज आने वाला है, बिकॉज अभी तक यही होता है कि खानदानों की शादी हो रही है, लड़का लड़की की शादी नहीं हो रही. तो आप
But with the nuclear system now, it's more the boy and the girl.
तो अब ये चीज़ बहुत हो जानी चाहिए कि एक्चुअली जिन्हों को साथ रहना है उनकी कॉन्वर्जेशंस होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. I'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Ayesha, for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. इसी के साथ आज के एपिसोड को हम ख़त्म करते हैं. Hope you enjoyed our conversation and you probably learned a lot of things from it. I'll see you in the next podcast. तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.